Dear Black people, the more you watch my videos, I expect the more you will appreciate, either instinctively or consciously, that I love you. And thus, I'm going to ask you a simple, direct, important question, and it's up to you to decide this. Would you rather be treated as an equal, as I do, or would you rather be treated with the bigotry of low expectations as the Democrats do? Which situation would give you more of a feeling of happiness, integrity, and equity? Because unlike any of the zombie apocalypse Democrats, I understand that the big main reason why the blacks are in such a pit is because of the Democrats. Because the Democrats do not hold you black people accountable for your actions. Because they think you're truly inferior. Obviously that's what they think, or they wouldn't have such a problem telling you simple truths. I am going to tell you simple truths. Truths that are so obvious and so outstandingly documented with mountains upon mountains of evidence that I hope you look up. They think you can't handle it because they're mentally ill. I know you can't handle it because I know it has nothing to do with your spiritual worth. And all races and individual people have social, personal, intellectual challenges to deal with. And what gives someone their true worth is their character, their ability to cultivate values and persevere with the cultivation of those values and overcome. That is what elicits respect from other humans. This is what I'd like to tell you in the hope that you will cultivate this and become people who can truly be respected in society. Because right now, with a little bit of thought, unless you don't know this already, the truth is, because of the Democrats, blacks honestly are not respected in society. And you know what? The respect for blacks is going lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Because the Democrats are insane out of their mind. So, here are truths that I know you can handle, and the Democrats won't tell you. 1. Average IQs. This has been confirmed by so many tests every which way. Tests without including language. Tests of memory. Tests of all sorts of things. The average IQ of a black person is 85. The average IQ of a Hispanic is 90. The average IQ of a white man is 100. The average IQ of a East Asian is 110. The average IQ of an Ashkenazi Jew is somewhere around 114. What I know and what the Democrats don't know is that there is nothing wrong with that. Yes, intelligence is perhaps the most valuable commodity socially, perhaps. That's fine. Who cares? The most valuable judgment of respect is integrity and the cultivation of values. And that will give you respect in our communities. Secondly, through mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence, it is true that black people have a natural preponderance because of a relative dearth of intelligence on the whole and a higher level of testosterone. Blacks commit astoundingly more crime. Of course, the left would like to make Ruth Goldberg constructs that they're actually completely personality-wise exactly the same as every other human, which is ridiculous because no race is exactly the same as any other race. Asians are more pensive and better in mathematics. Whites tend to be more somehow creative. Jews seemingly are the best in business and following through with strategic goals. We can see this everywhere. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's to be celebrated. It's to be celebrated. And blacks are the best athletes. That's to be celebrated. I don't want to watch a white man playing basketball so much. I want to see Michael Jordan dunking the ball. As a simple statistic, it's a fact by FBI data statistics that black people are 28 times more likely to assault a white person than a white person is to a black person. Now that stat is a little bit skewed because there's only 12 to 13% of black people in America and there's about 60% of America is white. So blacks have more of an availability. Who they attack is probably going to be a white, as to whites have less of ability to attack a black person. That's true in the statistics. However, 28 times is a huge number. Huge. And of course, this is across the board of breaking laws. Black people, again, are 12 to 13% of the nation, and they commit 50% of the murders. Think about that. 12% of the nation causes 50% of the murders. What does that mean? That is not oppression and black people are so downtrodden, etc., etc., etc. Black people have more of a tendency towards violent crime. Okay, let's work with it. Doesn't mean you're bad people. Let's just work with it. I have a tendency to lose my temper more than the average person. Am I a bad person? Do people have to lie to me about it? No, I know it. I have to deal with controlling my temper. So what? So here's the most important point of this talk. Blacks, in this ridiculous time in history in which the cultural Marxist Democrat zombies are taking over the earth, you suddenly have a tremendous opportunity and responsibility to the rest of our nation and the world. I ask that you folks now step up like real men and women and say, Democrats, we are sick of you lying to us. We are sick of you treating us like we have an inability to cultivate character. We have the ability to cultivate character. We deserve a level playing field, and we are sick of you keeping us down and stripping us of the demand of responsibility towards our race, which is causing us to just go wild, as in just say we're oppressed all the time and we're not going to try hard because we're oppressed and have that victim defeatist mentality. We demand you treat us as equals as we deserve, as Martin Luther King demanded. Judge someone by the content of their character, not the content of their skin color, not their intelligence level, not the preponderance to commit crime or not. Their character. And if you blacks do care about your own race and decide to get up out of this rut of victimology, the answer is to follow conservatives. And there's a lot of black conservatives out there, such as Michael Massey, Thomas Sowell, Larry Elder, Officer Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, Jesse Lee Peterson, Alan West, etc., 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 who say exactly what I'm saying now. If you want my respect as a race, because right now you barely have it. The only reason you barely have it in a positive way is because I understand that it's mostly not your fault. You have been thrust in this terrible rut of victimology by the left, especially the white left, because they are just insane for a variety of reasons, and they think it's helpful to treat you as unequal. And I know that is evil, and I am battling them. So, please help yourself and help us, conservatives and the white race now, because we've helped you so much, so much. What race in the history of the world has helped another race as much as the whites has helped the blacks? We voluntarily left Africa after only 75 years of colonization, despite no real military deterrent. We spent 620,000 white lives freeing slavery when there was no societal pressure except for Christian morality. We needed blacks to not be vagrants because naturally the situation was they all got freed and they were unskilled, they had no jobs, and they were just vagrant, and they had kind of little choice except for to steal and do nothing. And that's not a negative thing to say. What are you going to do with people who suddenly have no jobs and they were slaves? So we had to institute the black codes, and yes, there was racist Ku Klux Klan violence that took advantage of those black codes, but they were not evilly motivated. And our white courts thought that the best way to handle it was separate but equal, a very moral concept, but then it turned out that in reality it didn't work separate but equal because white people inevitably had their institutions served better. And peculiarities such as black people sitting on the back of the bus was terribly psychologically negative for the blacks. I get it. Can you imagine how psychologically defeating it is to be forced to stare at heads all the time while the white people are in the front and they get to see the big windows and such? It's terrible. But we overdid that. Thankfully, to the beauty and the strength of Martin Luther King, to be venerated by all people, of course, including the white people. Wonderful example you have there. But what about all the white people that helped you in that movement? That could never have happened if it wasn't assisted by the white people. True or false? Of course, it's very true. If you go look at how many white people marched for Martin Luther King at the Washington, D.C. famous speech and rally. how white people have bent over backwards, bent over backwards, bent over backwards. And that's fine because compassion is a good thing. But how about a thank you? How about saying white people have helped us so much? They put up with so much, because the more the Democrat communists treat you with kid gloves and don't say, hey, you've been getting out of line your whole life, even though you've been mistreated to an extent, which I've just articulated, you've been getting out of line your whole history here, and you need to take responsibility for yourself. You can't just walk into a Walmart, 50 of you, and just do this group looting. That's disgraceful for your race. You need to take responsibility for that. You need to say, okay, we have a more tendency towards violence. We acknowledge that, and we're sorry, white people and Asian people who are here, etc. We need to clean that up and own it. Or else you can sit here and allow the Democrats, most responsible, the white Democrats, to promote racism towards whites, and thus resulting in white racism towards the blacks. As I said in other videos, I know countless white people who are becoming racist because they can't pat down and untangle this natural racism that's brewing from seeing genocide white people this, white people that. We're going to take away all your commercial media. Everywhere you look is going to be a black person. Every TV show is going to be black, Hispanic, transsexual, ganging up on the white person. We can't have an all-white TV program. If a white person gets murdered by a cop, no one cares. If a black person gets murdered by a cop, it's racism. Even though there's actually no racism to be seen, it's police brutality. Black people, you have a tremendous opportunity to become right-wing people, to vote Republican, locally, at the state level, at the presidential level, etc. That's the way out of all this misery. As a detail, you want the black schools to be helped? Vote Republican. Republicans will help your schools. All Democrats do is throw more and more and more and more money for computers, and for the NAACP to say, we need more money. And there's nothing going to be done because black people don't have the adults telling them that they must behave and cultivate decorum and propriety. Have you ever heard a Democrat say, black people, you must cultivate more decorum and propriety or you're not going to learn? You're just going to have do-rags and say, fuck the police, fuck you, whitey, I don't need to listen to your shit. Not listening. How are you going to learn algebra and calculus and literature and all these things? How are you expected to do your homework if no one is demanding that to be societally respected, you must do your homework and do well? How does that formula go? How do you expect black people to achieve? I mean, now they're just taking away the SAT from colleges. The thing is, you look at black graduates from Harvard and they're not that smart. And that's a disgrace for you guys because everyone starts saying, yeah, we know he's black. The black people just get free passes all the time. Do you like that? I would hate that. I would hate to be treated that way. I want to be treated, if I were black, on a level playing field. So then when you see a black person who goes to Harvard and graduates, when you see a book of literature and a black person wins an award, when you see a black person win an award at the Grammys or the Academy Awards, you can say, yes, Denzel Washington, he's a great actor. When you say, yes, Michael Jackson won the Grammy, that's great music. Yes, Marvin Gaye won the Grammy, that's great music. That's the way it used to be when the conservatives were in power. Look at it now. Any piece of trash blacks spew out, and there's a lot of it, they get an award for. Literature, music, movies. It's terrible. They're destroying you people and they're destroying America and they're causing racism in you to hate the white people, and they're causing a lot of racism in white people against blacks. And it's none of our faults. They're playing us, man. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the people at Browning School that treat you with the kid gloves and put you on the front of their media. Don't put that there. Let everyone just be treated as equally. Take a picture. Who cares what the black person was in the line? Just take the damn picture. They're teaching revolution and immigration in 4th grade in Browning. That is so sick. 4th graders should be learning arithmetic and the history of dinosaurs. Revolution and immigration? Of course, I can go on and on. And you know what? All this love I've just said in this speech, there's a high probability YouTube takes this video down for hate speech. Hate speech. Is that Orwellian or what? Someone gives you more love and truth that you've been thirsting for, and they remove it and say it's hate speech. That's how 180 degrees psychotic the left has become. Run from that party. become Republicans, such as these other blacks, Michael Massey, Thomas Sowell, Candace Owens, Larry Elder, Brandon Tatum. Trump has done more for the black people than any president, except for maybe Abraham Lincoln, of course. As far as jobs and crime reform, you never hear that because the left is pure evil, and anything that undermines their sick oppression narrative, destroying this country, which is their goal, by the way. They're cultural Marxists. Their goal is to destroy America so that it's not there anymore and the flag's torn down. They can put up Utopia flag because they think that's the way to be, when their idea of utopia is utter hell on earth, as you can see, because we're 50% in it. In the 80s, when everything was wonderful and we had Michael Jackson and Marvin Gaye and the Celtics, Lakers and all that, now we have hell on earth. Everything's racist and people can't speak freely. They lose their jobs, etc. I hope you wake up and join us and support me and other conservatives. Support us because you have this magical power now. Please use it correctly. Help the white people because we need it right now. Help save our culture. Help the world appreciate us. Because if you guys say we're sick of white people being mistreated, they can't do anything about that because you have that magic shield. God bless you. I love you.